The process of organizing and outlining your speech will take much of the nervousness out of the public speaking experience because planning and organizing your speech is an empowering process. On the other hand, a disorganized speech makes it very difficult for the audience to follow along with your message. Therefore, the probability of your audience daydreaming and thinking of everything else besides your presentation is highly likely. Your listeners do not have the luxury of rereading a particular part of your speech, so they need to hear your message the first time around. Every speech has 3 parts to it. By having a strong grasp of the 3 parts of a speech, which is the introduction, the body, and the conclusion, you'll be able to navigate your audience so they can capture the core message. So once the main points in your body are clearly established, supported, and written, from there it is much easier to write the introduction and conclusion. Having your main points established clarifies your intended residual message that you want your audience to grasp. Often the main points will emerge as you research the topic of your speech, followed by evaluating the soundness of your supporting materials. The usual rule of thumb is your speech should have between 2 and 5 main points. One factor to consider is how much time you have to present your speech. Some assignments may be for you to speak 2 minutes or even 45 minutes. It would be very difficult to adequately discuss 3 main points in a 2-minute speech or 2 main points in a 45-minute speech. By limiting the number of main points to between 2 and 5, your audience will have an easier time remembering your main points. The purpose of limiting the number of your main points is so that they stand out and are remembered by your audience. Clear organization is vital to effective public speaking. Your audience must be able to grasp the advancement of your ideas in your presentation from your introduction through the conclusion. The first organizational strategy we're going to look at are speeches arranged in the chronological order, and that follows a time pattern. The main points used in the chronological order may describe a series of events in the order in which they occur. The chronological order is also used in speeches explaining a process or demonstrating how to do something. The chronological order is especially useful for informative speeches. Speeches using the spatial order follow a directional pattern. Main points continue from top to bottom, left to right, east to west, front to back, inside to outside, or some other route. When preparing an informative speech, the spatial order might be an appropriate organizational choice. The causal order strategy is used to underlie the cause and effect relationship. The causal order regularly contains 2 main points, one addressing the causes of an event and the other concentrating on the effects. Because of its adaptability, the causal order can be used for both informative and persuasive speeches. The problem-solution order are divided into 2 key parts. The first explains the existence and seriousness of a problem. The second reveals a realistic solution to the problem. The problem-solution order is most appropriate for persuasive speeches. The topical order is derived when you divide the speech topics into subtopics, each of which becomes a main point of the speech. The topical order is the most commonly used organizational strategy in public speaking because it is applicable to almost any subject and any kind of speech. The topical order is effective organizational strategy for both informative and persuasive speeches. In a persuasive speech, each of your topical subdivisions are the reasons or arguments why a speaker has chosen to advocate for a certain point of view. The amount of time spent on each main point depends on the quantity and complexity of the supporting materials for each theme. The average American speaks at approximately 125 to 150 words a minute. Use this numerical gauge as a guide as to how many words you should have in your speech. Keep this in mind. When you're at the podium, your rate of speech will be a lot faster due to adrenaline, so plan accordingly. There are 3 types of examples to support your main ideas: brief examples, narrative examples, and hypothetical examples. Connectives are words or phrases that join one thought to another and reveal the relationship between them, much like going from first gear to second gear efficiently. There are 4 types of connectives that would be appropriate for a speech: transitions, internal previews, internal summaries, and signposts. Connectives are like the fluid gear shifts that make the ride smooth for your passengers, or in our context, our audience. So we have briefly outlined a variety of organizational strategies that you should use when preparing for your speeches.